By the time you turn 40, you've spent 2 decades trading time for money, climbing ladders someone else built, and calling it success. But here's the truth. If you don't change the game now, you'll spend the next 20 years protecting the very system that keeps you trapped. Life doesn't pay you for effort forever. It pays you for strategy, for ownership, for wisdom. The first half was survival. The second half must be mastery. Don't retire, reinvent. Because after 40, it's not about working harder. It's about finally working for yourself. Most people spend their best years building someone else's dream and call it loyalty. They give their mornings to meetings, their nights to exhaustion, and their dreams to someday. But someday never comes unless you make it. After 40, your job should be your seed, not your ceiling. You've gathered wisdom, skill, and experience. It's time to make them pay you, not your employer. Don't let comfort become your cage. You're not too old to start, you're too wise to wait. When I was young, I thought that working harder was the key to success. I believed that if I put in more hours, showed up earlier, stayed later, and never complained, somehow life would reward me with prosperity. But I learned something humbling. Effort alone doesn't guarantee wealth. You can dig faster with a spoon, but if you're digging in the wrong place, you still won't find gold. Hard work matters, yes, but philosophy matters more. Because your philosophy, the way you think about life, money, and opportunity, shapes everything that follows. It decides whether your work compounds or merely repeats. After 40, that truth becomes even more important. You've already spent years mastering your trade, building habits, and establishing routines. But here's the challenge. Those same routines that gave you stability can also become the cage that holds you back. If your thinking hasn't evolved, your results won't either. See, success isn't a matter of luck or age. It's a matter of adjustment. The people who rise after 40 aren't the ones who do more of the same. They're the ones who dare to think differently about what's possible for them. When I talk to people who've been employees their whole lives, I notice a common pattern. Their identity is tied to their job, their paycheck, their title. They'll say things like, "I just work here," or "I'm too old to start over." And I always tell them, you don't need to start over. You need to start thinking over. You've spent decades learning how to work. Now it's time to learn how to think like an owner. That's where the shift begins. From effort to vision, from labor to leverage. I remember a man who once told me, "I've been working 25 years and I'm still in the same place." I asked him, "How can that be? 25 years of experience?" He said, "Well, not exactly. I've had 1 year of experience, 25 times." You see, without changing your philosophy, you end up repeating your first year for the rest of your life. That's what keeps people stuck. Not lack of time, not lack of money, but lack of new thinking. So how do you change it? It starts with awareness. Sit down and ask yourself, what do I believe about money? What do I believe about success? If your beliefs sound like, "I work for money," or "I can't get ahead without luck," you've already set your limits. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. They treat money like a tool, something to be directed, multiplied, and managed, not something to be chased. The moment you stop running after money and start instructing it where to go, everything changes. You must write down your own wealth philosophy and live by it daily. Maybe it's this: I will trade time for skills, not wages. I will let money serve my goals, not dictate them. I will never stop learning, no matter my age. Because philosophy is like the compass of your life. It points you toward your true north. If your compass is broken, it doesn't matter how fast you walk, you'll end up lost. So here's the truth. After 40, you don't need a new career, a new degree, or a new boss. you need a new philosophy. Because once your thinking expands, your world expands with it. The paycheck will no longer be your ceiling, it will be your starting line. And when that shift happens, your future begins to change, one thought at a time. When I first started working, I believed the secret to success was simple. Trade enough hours and life will pay you back. I thought the path to wealth was paved with long days, late nights, and endless hustle. But after years of watching people who work just as hard as me end up broke, tired, and frustrated, I realized something powerful. It's not the hours that make you rich, it's the value inside those hours. You don't get paid for time, you get paid for the value you bring to that time. And here's the danger after 40. If you're still trading time for money, you've built a system that stops working the day you do. You see, the poor and the middle class exchange hours for income, while the wealthy build systems, assets, and ideas that earn while they rest. That's the great divide. The employee says, I make $15 an hour. The wealthy person says, my investments make money every hour. One trades effort, the other builds leverage. You've got to make that shift if you want to escape the paycheck trap. I remember when I first started learning about wealth creation, my mentor said something I'll never forget. He said, you can't buy a man's time and expect him to get rich. You've got to buy his value, or better yet, build your own. That line changed my life. It made me realize that as long as I was selling hours, I was limited. There are only so many hours in a day, but there's no limit to the value you can create. So here's the question. What can you build today that will work for you tomorrow? It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's a side business, a digital product, an investment portfolio, or a rental property. Maybe it's an online course or a book. The point is, start creating something that earns while you sleep. Because when your money starts working for you, freedom isn't a dream anymore, it's a system. But to make that possible, you must increase your value. Spend 1 hour every week learning something that multiplies what you can offer. Not something that adds to your workload, but something that amplifies your earning power. Learn communication, sales, leadership, investing, skills that scale. Because the market doesn't reward effort, it rewards value. A janitor can work just as hard as a CEO, but the difference is in the value they bring to the marketplace. Then there's leverage, the greatest secret of the wealthy. Leverage means using ideas, people, systems, and capital to multiply your results without multiplying your hours. Think about it. You can't work 24 hours a day, but your money can, your investments can, your systems can. That's why you must shift from being the worker to being the architect of systems that work for you. You might say, but I'm just one person. Exactly. That's why you need leverage. Build a small team, automate your savings, delegate tasks, and put your ideas into systems that can scale. That's how you turn effort into enterprise. And let me tell you, after 40, this mindset isn't optional. It's survival. Your energy is finite, but your ideas aren't. Your body may slow down, but your mind can still multiply. The goal now is not to work harder, but to make what you've already built work harder for you. So stop measuring success by how long you've worked and start measuring it by how much value you've created. Because wealth isn't about what you earn in a day, it's about what continues to earn when your day is done. When I look back at my early years, I remember working hard, doing everything by the book, showing up on time and following every rule. Yet I was stuck, broke, and frustrated. One day, a man I deeply respected told me something that changed the course of my life. He said, "You've been working for everyone else's dream, but not investing in your own." That hit me like a brick. I realized I had invested years into my job, but not nearly enough into myself. And that's the truth for most people. They'll spend decades working for a company, but hesitate to spend a few hours or dollars building their own mind. See, wealth begins not in your bank account, but in your belief system, in your education, and in your ability to think. The rich understand this. They invest in knowledge long before they invest in markets. They know that money flows to those who know how to manage it, multiply it, and master it. The poor chase returns, the rich chase understanding. That's the difference. If you want to change your financial future, you must become an investor in your own life. That means spending a little time each day expanding your mind and your skills. Read about finance, business, investing, leadership, psychology, everything that sharpens your decision making. Even 30 minutes a day, done consistently, can transform the way you think, act, and earn. Because education compounds just like money does. Every book, every idea, every lesson you absorb adds a new layer to your potential. I remember when I was broke, sitting in a small apartment, trying to figure out how to get ahead. I couldn't afford to invest in property or stocks, but I could afford a book. So I started with that. I read about wealth, mindset, and personal growth. Then I started attending small seminars, listening to tapes, learning from people who had what I wanted. I turned my evenings into classrooms, and little by little, I began to understand how money really works. Eventually, that knowledge turned into income. I began teaching what I had learned, helping others improve their businesses, and consulting with those who wanted to grow. That's another secret the wealthy understand. Your experience has value. What you've learned through trial and error can be turned into a service, a product, a course, or a business. Every mistake you've made has a lesson inside it. And lessons are marketable if you learn to package them. Don't waste your experience. Monetize your wisdom. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. You've got to create a budget for learning. Yes, a budget. Just like you allocate money for bills or savings, set aside a fixed portion of your income to invest in yourself. It could be books, courses, mentorship, or networking. Because the more you grow, the more valuable you become, and the marketplace always rewards value. After 40, this becomes even more critical. The world is changing faster than ever. Technology, economics, industries, they evolve daily. If you stop learning, you stop earning. But when you commit to growing yourself, you stay ahead of the curve, you become adaptable, wise, and equipped to make decisions that build wealth instead of draining it. So let me remind you, your best investment will never be in the stock market, real estate, or crypto. It will be in you. Because when you grow, everything around you grows. Invest in your mind, and your money will follow. For most of my life, I thought success was about climbing the ladder. The better the title, the better the life. I thought the reward for working hard was a bigger paycheck and maybe a little more recognition. But one day, I learned a hard truth. No matter how high you climb someone else's ladder, it's still their ladder. And if they decide to move it, you fall. That's when I realized the goal isn't to just build a career, it's to build assets. A career gives you income. Assets give you independence. A career can end with a layoff, a retirement letter, or an economic shift. But assets, those keep working even when you don't. Assets are the things that pay you again and again for work you've done once. A property that collects rent, a business that earns while you rest, a book that sells while you sleep, or a system that runs without you being there. You see, the poor chase paychecks, The middle class chase promotions, and the wealthy build pipelines, systems that carry income to them, whether they're working or not. And if you're over 40, you've already gathered the most valuable resource of all, experience. The question now is, how do you turn that experience into something that keeps paying you? Start by taking inventory of your skills. Ask yourself, what do I know that others would pay to learn? What can I turn into a product, a service, or a system? Maybe you've spent 20 years managing teams. You can teach leadership. Maybe you've built a trade skill. You can train others. Maybe you're an expert in solving problems in your industry. You can consult. The key is to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a creator. I remember a man I met in his 50s. He had worked in sales his whole life. Good at his job, steady paycheck, but nothing left at the end of the month. When I asked him what his plan was for retirement, he said, work a little longer. I said, that's not a plan, that's postponement. So I asked him what he was best at. He said, teaching new salespeople how to close deals. I said, then you've got a gold mine. Package that knowledge, write it down, record it, sell it. A year later, he was running online training courses, earning while spending time with his family. His career didn't end, it evolved into an asset. That's the mindset shift. Stop measuring success by how much you earn and start measuring it by how much keeps earning without you. Every paycheck you receive should be seen as seed money. You can spend it and have comfort for a day, or you can plant it and have harvest for a lifetime. Reinvest part of what you make into assets that grow. Property, dividends, digital platforms, anything that has the power to multiply. And let's talk about ownership. The world honors titles, but wealth respects ownership. You can have manager or director on your business card, but if you don't own anything, your financial freedom is always in someone else's hands. Don't just collect titles, collect assets. Because when your name is on the ownership papers, your income doesn't depend on permission. So if you've spent decades building your career, that's fine, you've built a foundation, but now it's time to turn that foundation into freedom. Don't just make a living, design a life. Build something that outlasts your working years, something that works while you rest, something that can be passed on. A career pays your bills, but assets pay your future. And the best time to start building them is today. When you reach 40, you've gathered something priceless that no university can teach and no paycheck can replace. Wisdom. The experiences, the lessons, the failures, the small victories, all of it becomes a form of capital. But here's the challenge. Most people let that wisdom sit idle. They bury it under routine. They think, well, that's just what I've learned along the way. But the truth is, your wisdom is worth money if you learn how to share it, teach it, and multiply it. After 40, your experience becomes your most valuable asset, and it's time to turn that experience into wealth. I remember meeting a man at one of my seminars. He was 52, a retired engineer, and he told me he was worried about what to do next. He said, I don't have the energy to start over, but I don't want to sit idle either. I asked him, how many years of engineering experience do you have? He said, over 30. I smiled and said, then you have 3 decades of lessons companies would pay to learn in 1 weekend. You see, he was thinking like an employee, that his value ended when the paycheck stopped. But that's never true. Your value doesn't end, it evolves. The wealthy understand this. They know experience is currency. They know people will always pay for knowledge that saves them time, prevents mistakes, or accelerates success. If you can teach, mentor, or coach others using what you already know, You've just built a business around your wisdom. Whether it's leadership, sales, communication, or a trade skill, there's someone out there who needs what you've learned through trial and error. But you can't wait for opportunity to knock. You must create it. Start by writing down what you've mastered. Maybe it's how to lead teams, how to fix complex problems, or how to stay disciplined when others quit. Package it, turn it into a course, a workshop, or even a small book. Don't underestimate the power of documentation. What you write once can teach thousands. What you record once can pay you for years. The effort of a single season can produce a stream of income that lasts decades. Technology has made this easier than ever. You no longer need a publishing deal or a big company to back you. You can share your expertise online, build an audience, and let the world discover your value. Use social platforms to teach short lessons. Create a personal brand around your experience. People are hungry for authentic voices, for wisdom that's lived, not just taught. And when they find yours, they'll pay to learn more. Now, I'm not saying this happens overnight. It takes consistency, clarity, and the courage to put yourself out there. But remember this, your years of experience have already done the hard work. You've paid your dues through time, effort, and mistakes. Now it's time for those lessons to start paying you. I often say that success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. So begin today. Spend 1 hour writing your lessons, 1 hour teaching someone what you know, 1 hour building the foundation for your own knowledge-based business. Because when you start treating your experience like a bank account, you'll realize you've been sitting on wealth all along. At 40 and beyond, you don't need to chase opportunity, you need to share it. Your wisdom is your wealth. Package it, teach it, multiply it. Because the greatest return on investment will always come from investing in what you already know. One of the greatest differences between the rich and everyone else is how they view time. The poor think in days, the middle class think in months, but the wealthy, they think in decades. They understand that the seed you plant today will not feed you tomorrow, but if you tend to it patiently, it will one day feed your children and maybe even their children. Success doesn't come to those who work the hardest for a week, it comes to those who stay consistent for years. After 40, this truth becomes more important than ever, because now it's not about sprinting, it's about building something that lasts. Most people want quick rewards, the promotion, the paycheck, the instant win. That's why they chase jobs instead of building assets, and comfort instead of freedom. But the rich see life differently. They ask, what can I build today that will still pay me 10 years from now? They trade short-term gratification for long-term stability. They understand that patience, not speed, multiplies wealth. Let me give you an example. Early in my career, I met two men who worked side by side. Both earned similar salaries. One lived for the weekend, always upgrading his car, his clothes, his entertainment. The other lived for the future, investing small amounts regularly in property and mutual funds. The first man had comfort, the second had vision. 10 years later, one had memories and the other had income. That's not luck, that's mindset. The first thought in months, the second thought in decades. The investor's time frame is about embracing the process of growth. It's about realizing that wealth compounds slowly, first invisibly, then suddenly. You might not see results right away, but every disciplined decision builds momentum. When you save consistently, invest wisely, and reinvest your returns, your wealth begins to grow quietly in the background, like a tree developing roots before showing fruit. You've got to train yourself to think like that. Start by setting long-term goals, 5, 10, even 20 years out. Not vague wishes, but clear financial visions. Where do you want to be? What do you want to own? What kind of freedom do you want your money to create? Write it down, revisit it often, and make decisions that move you closer every day. The goal is not to get rich fast, but to get rich for sure. Then automate the process. Don't rely on motivation. Build systems that work when you don't. Set up automatic investments each month, even small ones. I'd rather see someone invest $200 every month consistently for 10 years than $10,000 once and stop, because consistency beats intensity every single time. The marketplace rewards patience and discipline, not emotional bursts of effort. And when setbacks come, because they will, don't panic. Don't call it failure. Call it a season. Every winter gives way to spring if you keep tending the soil. Maybe your investments drop for a while. Maybe your business slows down. That's life. But those who hold their vision, who keep planting, keep watering, always see harvest again. So, after 40, it's time to stop rushing the process. You're not just earning for next month, you're building for the next decade. Adopt the investor's time frame. Think long term. Build slow, steady, and strong. Because while others chase quick wins, you'll be securing lasting wealth. The rich think in decades, and that's why their results last for generations. Debt is a tool, nothing more, nothing less. Yet most people treat it like a trap or a trophy. After 40, the way you handle debt can make the difference between freedom and frustration. The poor borrow to spend, to impress, to live above their means. The rich, on the other hand, borrow strategically. They use debt to expand, to leverage opportunities, to grow assets that eventually pay for the debt and then some. Debt becomes a servant when controlled, a master when ignored. That is the first lesson you must internalize if you intend to build wealth at this stage in life. Let me explain how this works in practice. Many people carry credit card balances for months, even years, paying interest on things that shrink in value. That's destructive debt. It eats your financial muscle while giving no return. But imagine instead that you take a loan to buy a rental property that produces consistent monthly income. The rent covers the loan payment, builds equity, and eventually becomes pure profit. That same debt, wisely used, becomes a growth engine. It multiplies your resources instead of depleting them. After 40, your experience is your capital. You understand markets, you see opportunity, and you can predict risks better than you did at 20. Use that to your advantage. Eliminate any high-interest debt first, the kind that produces nothing but stress. Then use good credit as leverage for investments, business expansion, or education that increases earning potential. Always measure your debt against your assets. The goal isn't zero debt at all costs. The goal is controlled debt that produces more than it costs. A personal example, early in my career, I used a small business loan to expand operations. It was a calculated risk backed by projections and discipline. The borrowed funds allowed me to purchase equipment and hire staff, which increased revenue faster than the loan accumulated interest. That debt served me, it did not control me. Contrast this with a friend who borrowed to buy a luxury car only to see the balance climb while his income stayed the same. One leveraged debt, the other was enslaved by it. Track your debt to asset ratio annually and always ask before borrowing, will this make me wealthier or simply busier? Borrowing after 40 is not about instant gratification. It's about strategic expansion, using the wisdom you've gained to multiply your future. When controlled, debt can accelerate growth, fund education, and build lasting wealth. But when ignored, it becomes a master, eroding freedom instead of creating it. Treat it with respect, plan every dollar, and let it serve your vision, not your impulses. Your network is more than a collection of acquaintances. It's the ecosystem in which your wealth grows. After 40, the relationships you cultivate can either lift you or limit you. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That truth doesn't fade with age. It only becomes more significant. The poor often surround themselves with people who complain, doubt, or settle. The rich surround themselves with thinkers, doers, and visionaries who challenge them, inspire them, and open doors that would otherwise remain closed. Choosing the right company is choosing your financial destiny. Building wealth after 40 is rarely a solo endeavor. You've spent decades accumulating skills, knowledge, and experience, but multiplying that requires collaboration. A mentor can save you years of trial and error. A peer in a mastermind group can offer insights you would never discover alone. Partnerships allow you to leverage other people's resources, knowledge, and networks, turning what was a single effort into a multiplied result. It's the compounding principle applied to human connections. Practical steps are crucial. First, join a mastermind or investor group where serious, like-minded people gather. These are spaces where ideas are tested, experiences are shared, and opportunities surface that aren't visible from the outside. Second, seek mentors who've already achieved the success you desire. Don't just admire them from afar. Invest in their guidance and be ready to implement what they teach. One actionable idea can be worth more than years of trial and error. Third, focus on partnerships that multiply your reach. This could be business collaborations, co-investing in real estate, or joining ventures that allow you to contribute your expertise while benefiting from others' strengths. I've seen countless examples in my life where a single relationship changed trajectories. Early on, I partnered with someone whose skills complemented mine. What I lacked in knowledge, they supplied, and vice versa. Together, we built something far beyond what either of us could have achieved alone. Contrast that with a person who insists on going it alone, burning years learning lessons that could have been shortened by the right association. At this stage of life, your network is not optional, it's essential. Evaluate every relationship. Does it lift you or drag you down? Surround yourself with people who expand your thinking, challenge your limits, and multiply your results. Your net worth isn't just in dollars, it's in the quality and influence of the people you allow into your world. Build your network wisely, and watch your wealth grow, not just in money, but in opportunity and freedom. Retirement is often painted as a finish line, a period of rest after decades of labor. But after 40, if you think like an employee, retirement becomes a trap. You're counting down years until someone else's system stops paying you. True wealth isn't about leaving work behind, it's about leaving your mark. Don't retire from contribution, retire into creation. The rich understand that purpose, not paychecks, drives fulfillment and financial freedom. When work is aligned with your values and your expertise, it becomes less about obligation and more about opportunity. Many people make the mistake of saving diligently but imagining retirement as a passive escape. They think, if I have enough money, I can finally relax. Yet, money without purpose is empty. I've seen individuals reach financial independence and still feel hollow because they stopped creating, stopped contributing, and stopped growing. Contribution is the engine that multiplies both wealth and happiness. Purpose keeps your mind sharp, your spirit motivated, and your income streams active. The mindset shift is simple but profound. Don't aim to stop working. Aim to work where your work matters. Practical steps begin with clarity. Define what financial freedom truly means to you. Is it traveling the world, mentoring the next generation, launching a business, or creating an impact in your community. Once defined, align your actions with that purpose. Start today by evaluating current commitments. Which activities move you closer to purpose and which are distractions masquerading as work? Build a life where your daily efforts produce meaning, not just money. Automate the finances necessary for security and focus your energy on creation that amplifies value. Measure success not by years remaining or dollars saved, but by the value you contribute and the legacy you create. Even small, consistent acts of contribution compound over time. The work you do after 40, when guided by purpose, not necessity, can surpass everything you did before. Wealth without purpose is temporary. Purpose-driven wealth is enduring. Financial freedom becomes more than a number. It becomes a lifestyle of significance, growth, and influence. Don't chase retirement as an escape. Chase a life where your impact, creativity, and value continue to expand, and you'll never truly retire, you'll only advance. Too many people spend their lives consuming, absorbing information, buying things, and waiting for opportunities to arrive. After 40, thinking like an employee traps you in a cycle of consumption. You work for paychecks, spend those paychecks on comforts, and hope for security. The rich, however, think like producers. They create value, build systems, and offer solutions that others need. Production, not consumption, is the engine of wealth. I've observed countless people in midlife who, once they shifted focus from what they could take to what they could give, suddenly unlocked opportunities they never imagined. Production begins with mindset. It's a decision to stop measuring life by what you can buy and start measuring it by what you can build. It's turning ideas into services, skills into products, and knowledge into systems. Wealth is a byproduct of value delivered consistently over time. The more people rely on what you produce, the more your earnings grow, often far beyond what any salary could provide. I remember mentoring someone in their 40s who had spent decades climbing the corporate ladder. When he began investing just 2 hours a week building a digital course from his expertise, within a year, that course was earning more than his full-time salary because he had become a producer, not just a consumer. Practical steps are straightforward but require discipline. Spend at least 70% of your time producing, whether it's developing a skill, creating a product, or selling a service. Track your consumption. How much time, money, and energy is spent merely receiving rather than giving value? Redirect those resources toward creation. Finally, commit to building at least one thing this year that others can rely on, a service, a product, or a system that continues to generate value, even when you sleep. Production multiplies impact. It builds income, influence, and independence. Consumption, while comfortable in the short term, leaves you dependent and limited. The transition from consumer to producer is not just a financial strategy, it is a life philosophy, a shift in identity. When you think like a producer, your time, money, and energy become instruments of growth, not liabilities. Don't settle for consuming what others produce. Make this year the year you create, contribute, and build something that lasts. Too many people believe wealth comes solely from working longer hours or climbing the corporate ladder. But real financial freedom begins with ideas. Labor alone has limits. Your time can only stretch so far. But ideas are infinitely scalable. I've seen people start with nothing but a simple concept, and with focus and persistence, transform it into a business that generates income while they sleep. One idea, executed consistently, can outperform decades of effort. It's not magic, it's leverage, turning creativity into cash flow. This is the mindset that separates those who stay trapped trading hours for dollars from those who truly build wealth. The first step is to capture every thought, every spark of inspiration. Keep an idea journal and review it weekly. Many of us dismiss thoughts as fleeting, yet the seeds of fortune often hide in small, overlooked concepts. Writing them down not only preserves them, but also forces clarity. Once a month, choose one idea and test it on a small scale. Don't wait for perfection. Small experiments teach lessons that theory never can. I recall mentoring a friend who jotted down 5 simple online service ideas every week. Within a year, one of those ideas had grown into a service that earned more than his full-time job because he applied focus and action rather than endless deliberation. Equally important is learning the basic business skills to turn ideas into income. Creativity alone isn't enough. You must understand marketing, finance, and operations at a functional level. The wealthy combine imagination with execution. They know how to identify needs, create solutions, and deliver value at scale. Each idea is a potential asset, and the more you develop the skill of testing, refining, and scaling ideas, the faster your wealth multiplies. Remember, your labor has limits, but your ideas do not. Labor can pay bills, but ideas can build empires. Treat every thought as a potential investment. Capture it, test it, and scale it. The transition from earning by effort to earning by ingenuity is the defining shift for anyone who wants to build lasting wealth. Start today. Write down your ideas. Act on one this month, and let creativity become your most powerful form of leverage. True wealth is rarely created overnight. It grows quietly, patiently, and consistently, often until one day it seems to explode into abundance. The principle of compounding is simple, yet profoundly transformative. Every small action, when repeated and reinvested over time, multiplies into results far beyond the effort initially applied. I've watched ordinary people, starting with almost nothing, build fortunes simply by respecting the power of time and consistency. The rich understand this. They don't chase quick wins. They harness compounding, whether in money, skills, or relationships. The first step is to start now, no matter how small the investment. Too many wait for the perfect moment, the perfect income, or the perfect opportunity. But the truth is that delay is the enemy of compounding. Even modest contributions, invested consistently, grow exponentially over years. Think of it like planting seeds. A single seed will take time to become a tree, but with patience, it can bear hundreds of fruits season after season. I knew someone who began investing just $50 a month in a diversified account. 2 decades later, through reinvestment and patience, that small, consistent effort became a 6-figure portfolio, an outcome that would have seemed impossible at the start. Reinvestment is the second key. Withdrawals slow the momentum, reinvestment accelerates it. Let your gains earn more gains. Whether it's dividends from stocks, interest from savings, or profits from a small business, don't take the reward too soon. Instead, let it feed itself. Wealth, like a compounding tree, grows quietly while you focus on other areas of your life. Finally, focus on the long-term horizon. Avoid the temptation of short-term excitement, stock market spikes, fleeting trends, or get-rich-quick schemes. Compounding works best with patience, discipline, and trust in the process. The rich understand that slow, consistent growth produces results far superior to erratic bursts of effort. Start today, invest a small amount, commit to reinvest, and let time do the heavy lifting. Your wealth isn't built in a day, it's built in the days you refuse to waste. Let compounding work for you. Wealth isn't just about how much you earn, it's also about how much you keep. I've seen too many people climb mountains of success only to slide back down because they ignored the simple principle of protection. The first rule of wealth is deceptively simple. Never lose what you cannot afford to lose. While ambition drives us to create, growth without protection is reckless. You can build an empire of income streams, assets, and investments, but one unexpected event, a medical emergency, a market crash, or an unforeseen expense can unravel years of effort if you haven't prepared. The foundation of protection begins with liquidity. Maintain at least 6 months of living expenses in cash. Think of this as your safety net, your cushion against life's inevitable shocks. This isn't money to splurge or to gamble. It's money to preserve your life, your health, and your financial trajectory when the unexpected arrives. In my own journey, having a cash reserve allowed me to take calculated risks without fear. I could invest in opportunities, knowing that my foundation was secure. Next, diversify your assets. Never rely on a single source of income or a single investment vehicle. I've seen people put everything into one business, one stock, or one property, only to watch misfortune strike and their financial security collapse. Spread your resources. Different asset classes, industries, or income streams reduce risk. Diversification doesn't guarantee success, but it dramatically reduces the likelihood of catastrophic loss. Finally, consider legal and insurance protections. Review your insurance policies annually. Health, disability, property, liability. Update wills and estate plans to ensure your family is protected and your legacy preserved. Think of this as extending your safety net beyond yourself to those who depend on you. Protection is not pessimism, it is wisdom. Guarding what you've built doesn't slow growth, it enables it. With a safety net, you can take calculated risks, seize opportunities, and sleep at night without worry. Begin today. Secure cash reserves, diversify assets, and review protections. Your wealth grows faster when you're shielded from unnecessary loss. Comfort is a subtle, sneaky trap. It whispers, "You're doing fine, no need to push further." And before you know it, years have passed, and your potential remains untapped. I've met countless people who worked steadily, saved cautiously, and lived safely, yet they never moved beyond the middle. Comfort, while pleasant, is often the enemy of progress. True wealth isn't found in the familiar, it's found where challenge meets preparation. Growth is uncomfortable because it stretches your skills, your mindset, and your courage. To break free from the comfort trap, start by setting a bold financial target, one that makes you feel a little uneasy. For instance, if your income has plateaued, commit to doubling it within a realistic time frame. Let the goal be big enough to ignite ambition, yet achievable with discipline and smart planning. I remember when I first decided to increase my income dramatically. The thought was intimidating. I questioned if I had the skill, the network, or the mindset to reach it. That discomfort was precisely the signal that I was on the right path. Next, take calculated risks regularly. Growth comes from action, not theory. This doesn't mean reckless gambles. It means carefully considered moves that have a high potential payoff. Perhaps it's investing in a new business venture, purchasing an asset that appreciates, or learning a skill that multiplies your earning power. Each quarter, challenge yourself with one meaningful step outside what feels safe. I've seen people stagnate because they never left their secure routines. Even small, smart risks can compound into tremendous wealth over time. Finally, shift your mindset to see security as a byproduct of growth, not a goal in itself. Many chase comfort, thinking it will protect them. But the reality is that the rich pursue challenge, and comfort comes later as a reward, not a prerequisite. Reframe setbacks as lessons, obstacles as opportunities, and uncertainty as a doorway to achievement. When you embrace discomfort strategically, you transform fear into fuel, hesitation into action, and potential into profit. Your mission today is to step beyond what feels safe, set ambitious goals, take calculated risks, and let challenge guide your path. True security is earned, not assumed. Mastering cash flow is the cornerstone of wealth. Many people think that earning more automatically makes them rich, but the truth is far simpler and more profound. It's not what you earn, it's what you keep, grow, and protect. I've met countless high earners who lived paycheck to paycheck because they never understood the flow of money in their lives. Money is energy, and if you don't direct it wisely, it will slip through your fingers as quickly as it comes. The first step is to track every inflow and outflow meticulously. Know where each dollar comes from and where it goes. This isn't about obsessing over pennies. It's about awareness. Once you understand your money's path, assign every dollar a purpose before it leaves your hands. I often tell people to treat money like a team of workers. Each has a specific job. Some pay bills, some build reserves, and some go to investments. When money has a mission, it works harder for you. I remember my early days when I made small amounts. Every saved and allocated dollar felt like a soldier marching toward my freedom. This habit, even with modest income, set the foundation for multiplying wealth later. Next, reinvest at least 20% of your cash flow into assets that generate more income. Cash sitting idle is opportunity lost. Whether it's stocks, real estate, or a small business, your goal is to turn a portion of every earned dollar into something that produces additional cash. I've seen ordinary people transform modest earnings into significant wealth simply because they disciplined themselves to let money work while they slept. Finally, protect what you build. Track progress monthly. Adjust allocations as needed. And avoid the temptation to spend gains prematurely. Wealth grows when you treat cash flow as a system, not a scorecard. The rich understand this principle intuitively. They don't chase the paycheck. They orchestrate the flow of money so it multiplies itself. Your mission is clear. Map your cash, assign every dollar a purpose, and make reinvestment non-negotiable. Let your money work harder than you do, and it will lead you to freedom. As we come to the close of this journey, I want you to take a moment and reflect. Wealth is not about luck, inheritance, or the hours you put in at a job. Wealth is about understanding money, directing it wisely, and letting it serve you instead of controlling you. It's about taking the principles we've discussed, tracking cash flow, assigning every dollar a purpose, reinvesting earnings, protecting your assets, and turning them into habits that compound over time. Success doesn't come from chasing a paycheck. It comes from creating systems, building assets, and thinking long-term. I've seen countless people transform their lives simply because they changed how they approached money. They stopped being employees of circumstance and became architects of their financial destiny. They made decisions today that would pay dividends tomorrow. And the difference between those who struggle and those who thrive is often just one choice: to act with discipline, focus, and vision. So here's your call to action. Start today. Track your cash flow this month. Assign every dollar a purpose. Identify one asset you can build or invest in that will generate income for you. Commit to learning and applying principles that multiply wealth, not just earn it. Discipline yourself to reinvest, protect, and grow. Stop living as though money is fleeting and start treating it as a tool for freedom. Remember, freedom is the real measure of wealth, not how much you earn, but how much control you have over your life. Let this be the moment you shift from being a passenger to being the driver of your financial future. Act now and let your money work harder than you ever could alone. Your future self will thank you.